Mhm. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Well, that was a trick. Oh my word, that was a nightmare. I have no idea. I was stuck in a doom loop with freaking live streaming. It was a nightmare. But anyway, I'm here now. Whew, thank heavens. All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Lumberjack Landlord here. We had a fantastic night last night in boot camp. We are going to graduation week next week, where we actually get it's our last class next week, and then taking a bit of a hiatus, and then we'll start up the next boot camp in a bit. We don't have an exact date, but we're working on that stuff now. Holy cow, holy Toledo. Last night's boot camp was absolutely awesome. We had a great time. Actually was invited my attorney. And so we talked about trusts, LLCs, how my trust is structured, all of those different pieces to it. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today, and we'll answer questions about that stuff later on. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today was I basically blew up a deal. Not intentionally either. So usually, and this is where I made the mistake. I was working on a deal for a certain property. When I was working on that deal for that property, I had, it was basically, I had two maps, if you will. Give me just 1 second. Let me make sure this isn't somebody trying to work. Cool. So I was basically trying to get this deal done. I had bought a package deal. When I bought the package deal, I knew I was buying two lots. I knew I was buying two lots. Get the deal done, do the big project, finish the big rehab. We get the refi done on one of the buildings that we had redone. The other building was in really nice shape, and so it didn't need redoing. But what was really interesting is that so I started showing it for for rent. Was going to essentially just rent out the asset. And I won't share a ton of detail around that because you'll know why. But in working on this deal, so I had two tax maps. And so, one of the potential renters said, you know what? I'd actually like to buy the building. And I was like, I don't want to sell it. He's like, well, I want to buy it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to sell it. And so he went back and forth for like 3 months. And finally we came to a number that I was like, all right, I will sell it for that. I don't want to. I still really don't want to, but for that number, I will. I like helping small local businesses, want to see this guy succeed, know that he will succeed. I'm excited for him to succeed. He's going to crush it. But still, I don't love selling my buildings. I really don't. So fast forward it. And so we're doing all the due diligence, doing all the paperwork, and we're about to close last week. And in doing that project, where we're about to close last week, it gets to the title insurance part. And they get to the title insurance part, and they're looking up the title insurance, and they're trying to put it on the policy, and they look at it and they go, oh, that's interesting. And I said, what's interesting about that? Dear heavens, why are you blowing up my phone? Okay. Got it. Perfect. So anyway, so I have this, we're basically ready to close. Title company writes back and says, hey, this is one lot and you can't sell it this way. I was like, it's not one lot. I have two tax cards. They're like, it's one lot. And I was like, okay. They're like, it's deeded as one lot. I'm like, it's not, it's two lots. I have two separate tax cards. They're taxing me on the buildings separately. They're taxing me for the swatch of land that both buildings are on separately. I need this closer. Dramatic effect. So I'm like, what the hell? So I start calling attorneys, and we all know I've got 9 of them. Yeah, but there's a reason I have 9 of them, because they're all different and some overlapping, obviously, but there's some differences. There's stuff that, they're really good at. In fact, Kate, who was on with us last night at the boot camp, she's an absolute rock star when it comes to titles, deeds, private mortgages, all the paperwork that surrounds closing. She's just elite at that stuff. And trusts. Oh, she's so good. And LLCs and business formation. She is awesome. Ask any of the people that were in the boot camp last night. So, so we're going through this process and she looks and she goes, Matt, I was like, oh no. She goes, I've never seen this before. I was like, damn it. That's never the answer that you want to hear from an attorney. I've never seen this before. Wrong answer every time. So she tells me, never seen this before. And I'm like, usually, so let's get deep in it. We start looking at it and we are looking at the deed. And the deed, I had only bought this property a few years ago. The deed, when it was done, I knew that I was buying the package. So I didn't look at the rest of the detail of the deed, not something I usually look at in this respect. Obviously, I read the deed, but didn't really think much of it. So I'm looking at the deed, and the deed doesn't have any what's called meets and bounds. I like to say meets and bounds really fast. So I like to say meets and bounds, kind of like Frank and Beans. It makes me laugh. It's funny. And so the meets and bounds thing, it's basically here's where the lots meet, and then here's the boundary. It had boundary. It had no meets. So goofy, but it had no meets where those two lots meet. So, so I'm looking and I'm like, this is going to be a problem, because when you have only the outside measurement, then you only have the bounds, the boundary. You don't have the meets where the two lots meet. So technically, not even technically, in reality, the title company is correct. They're correct. I cannot close the way that I'm set up. I'm like, we've spent 6 months on this deal. 6 months. I've spent time on it. I've spent energy on it. I've not had renters in some of the units because they want it clean. They want it clear when they take it. Oh, this is the point of frustration. Kill me now. Not literally. So I'm more than a little bit bummed. So let's fast forward a little bit. Actually, it's only been going 6 minutes. I think I've been going 16 because I was 10 minutes late. My apologies. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I don't have meets and bounds. I don't even have something in the deed that says track 1, track 2, track 1, track 2, track 1, track 2, track 1, track 2. I don't have anything that says that. So I can't actually split this thing up. So you know what the only option that I have is? The only option that I have is I have to do a survey. Surveys are $4,000 to $6,000. Got to do a survey. No way around it. I went to the planning department. I went to the assessment department, and I was like, hey, I'm going to have the biggest suit against you guys for 50 years worth of taxes that you charge on 2 lots that weren't actually 2 lots. You can't do that. Can't do that. Naughty, naughty. And so now what's my option? Well, now my option is hire an attorney, go back and do all this other stuff, and have it take another 3 to 6 months. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I blew up my own deal because I'm a dope, because I took for granted that 2 tax cards meant that I had 2 separate lots. Now, here's the thing. In talking with 5 of my 9 attorneys, none of them had ever seen it before. They'd never seen the fact that a deed had 2 lots together with no meets and bounds, no track 1, track 2, but yet 2 separate tax cards. No one had ever seen that before. So lucky me. Lucky me. So where we are now is got to have a survey done. Survey is going to take 4 to 6 weeks. Freaking hell. Survey is going to take 4 to 6 weeks. So we have to find a way to skin the cat. Different way to skin the cat, because I want the transaction closed so the new business owner can get in there and start doing work and be ready for springtime, not, late to spring. So we talk. So again, strategize with another one of the attorneys. He goes, you know what? Let's condo it. So we condo it. We're going to condo the asset. So we'll condo it. Why? Because from a condo perspective, we can do all of the condo docs. And as soon as the survey is complete, it's going to be agreed to by both myself and the buyer, or myself and the buyer. And we're then able to file the condo docs, close with the title company, because they can then do title based on that. And then we're good to go. Makes it much, much, much easier. So while we do that, that's going to take about 4 weeks. Sadly, it delays everything 4 weeks. Definitely pisses me off. I completely screwed up on my own because I took for granted that it was the way that it was always going to be. Took that for granted. I expected with 2 tax cards to not have a deed that didn't have 2 separate lots. So, moral of the story, be better than me. Read the deed. Read the deed, especially if you're buying 2 properties together, but read the deed always to make sure that it has meets and bounds in it. Make sure that it has where it meets the other lot, the other abutters next to you, and the boundary of everything. Make sure that it has that. You need to make sure you read your deed. Read the deed. So what do? Nothing. I suck it up and I take it. It's the way it goes, because I got to pay $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000. Then I got to pay for condo docs. Then I got to pay for them to be filed. Then I got to take the survey, and then I got to go get on the company town docket, the city town docket. And then I have to make the presentation. I got to pay an attorney to do that. Look, could I do it myself? Yes. Not reality, seeing as how I have a day job and I have to take care of all the other properties. So this is the type of thing to make sure it gets done right, because it wasn't done right before. This is the thing that we want to make sure it gets done right. So what do? I got to send it out. So it's going to cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, which I'm not very thrilled about, but it is what it is. So everything is getting sent out. It's going to cost me thousands. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, I blew up my own deal. So no deal is done until it's done. I still fully expect this will close. Spoke with the buyer and his attorney last week. We're all happy with it. And so, yes, the deal will still happen, but I did blow it up. And the good news is he's getting a really good deal, and it's a really good thing for him and his business. So I'm excited for him. The downside is yeah, I completely screwed this one up. And it's costing me thousands of dollars extra, and it's taking an extra month, even after this deal has already taken 6 months. And then there was like a comment made that was like, well, we wanted to close at the end of November anyway. And I was like, yeah, I didn't want to close at the end of November. I wanted to close the middle of October, but now I have to close the end of November because I made a mistake. And so it does happen. Even with all of the times that I've done this, you got to remember 20-year attorney, 25-year attorney, 30-year attorney, 27-year attorney. They're all looking at this stuff. They're all in real estate. They all do real estate stuff. They had never seen anything like it. So it puts us in the position where we will condo it. Then we will actually subdivide it, but we'll continue basically the meets and bounds of what we're setting up as a condo. So when it's all said and done, they will be subdivided. They will become separate properties. The condo will die, but the condo at least gives us an opportunity where we can close now and actually get the guy in there, just being innovative and trying to think of ways that he doesn't lose 2 months worth of time, but he'll get all that stuff in there and we'll be good to go. So moral of the story is don't take anything for granted. Look at the deed, and make sure that, this is one of the things that can fall apart at the very last minute is the title insurer wouldn't insure it as it sat, and they couldn't because it was basically both properties. So I share my failures with you guys to make sure, and successes, but I share my failures and successes with you guys to make sure that you guys know, yeah, I still fail. I still make mistakes. They're much fewer and further between. And the nice thing is that this mistake, not one attorney looked at it and was like, oh yeah, you should have caught that. Not one. Every single one of them was like, no, you got two tax maps, 2 tax cards, 2 property cards. Yeah, of course, everything's fine. You can subdivide or you can sell as is. So it was a painful one. I won't lie. It was a painful one. But we're getting to the other side. Not everybody ends up a winner. Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody ends up a winner. I still don't love selling that property. I really do kind of like that property. I really don't want to sell it, but you know what? It's what's best for him. And it'll work out for me. It'll work out for me. Always does. So let's jump into some questions. So again, want to apologize to all you guys for the late start. That was more than just a little bit of a nightmare. Hold on one second. So yeah, it was a nightmare, but we're through it. Special thanks to my attorney Kate for time in the on the boot camp last night. It was awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Sharing. It's important. What I think a lot of people miss is there's a million courses out there on how to buy real estate, and we all know I have my favorites. But I think the challenge really becomes you have to understand how to manage the asset. You have to understand how to keep the asset, and you have to understand how to make sure that if anything ever happens to you, that you have some sort of a succession plan. So all your work isn't for naught. And that's what Kate did a really good job last night taking us through. And I know that everybody is taking action after last night and the stories that she was able to tell, because it really is important that people take action and they have the proper structure set up so they can build their businesses. That being said, let's jump in and say some hellos. Dividend Dave, you are first, Dave, and I don't have to restart. Someone's on the ball this morning. Mandy W, good morning. Richard Gamino, good morning, sir. Josh Coster, here after a late night boot camp. Good to have you back, sir. Hyder, I need more subs than 6,600. I agree. But here's the funny thing. The show is really for people that want to do work. Like they really want to jump in the trenches. They want to be they want to be operators. They want to manage their own future. That's who I do this for. So, it's funny. There was this one channel that I was watching like maybe 2 years ago, and it was because it had a Cardone video on it. And it was a guy from an ex-Scientologist. And so, he popped up in my stream, I don't know, like a week or so ago, and I looked at it and he had like 1,800 people on his live stream. I was like, holy cow, 1,800 people. I remember some of Meet Kevin's that were like 4,000 and 5,000 people. Like that's a lot of people on a live stream. But hey, we're usually around 50 to 100 people hanging out, only 34 right now because I know it's still early on the West Coast, but I'm here for the people that want to make a difference in their lives. I'm always happy to do it and answer your questions, even if it only ends up being me and Hyder. Right, Ryan? It's all good. The Yoder, good morning, the great operator. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Yoder. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Anna. Good to see you. Good morning, Frank. Also here from the boot camp from late last night. 1 APN for 2 lots. Yeah, it was one deed. But you can have one deed on 2 lots. The big issue is that you really want to have separation. It has to say meets and bounds. It has to say track 1, track 2, but you never have 2 tax cards. That was where I got was that you never have 2 tax cards. But one of the other big surprises, we actually have a special guest here in studio. So this is the newest little lumberjack. Hi. I know. But this is the latest lumberjack. This is Abigail, and she was born at 3:47 in the morning. She's actually what, 2 days old? 3 days old. 3 days old. So she is now 3 days old. Hi. Are you dreaming about how bad daddy did that deed? I know. See, she's fussy face right there. I know. Are you hungry again? Are you hungry? So this is little Abigail. Hi. Oh, there's your cameo. Just look at the screen. Oh, good job. So this is little Abigail, but we're going to let her go back to mommy so she can eat. I know. I love you. Daddy's going to finish the show. There you go. Bye, little pumpkin. So now the biggest thing with our kids is giving them shifts as holding the baby, and they fight over it. Just like, you ask me one more time, you're not getting a turn. We're going to skip you. That's been proven to be quite effective. So anyway, that is little Abigail, who is now 3 days old, a little over 3 days old. 3:47 in the morning. Mrs. Lumberjack's doing great. Doesn't want to be on camera. And it was a lot of fun. And she's amazing at doing that. She's an amazing mom, but she just giving birth, she's a champ. I was teaching Christian and Cody's one of their tracks in their class on on Wednesday. I think Wednesday or Tuesday. I was doing their track on Wednesday. No, one of the days. I was teaching their track. My wife sends me a text, says, "Hey, I think I'm going into labor." I was like, "All right." She goes, "How long until your class is done?" I was like 15, 20 minutes. She goes, "Oh yeah, that's fine." So I go upstairs. She's like, I think I'm in labor. I was like, "You've done this 3 times before. How do you not know?" She's like, really funny. So we head to the hospital and 6 hours later, baby's here. So that's that. BuzzTune, good morning. Good morning, Lumberjack BF from BF. Hey, good morning, BF. Where's Chester? Someone call him. I knew he'll be here. I'm sure. Laura Samaniego, good morning, everyone. Hit the like button, please. 26 watching and only 4 likes. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Wealth Building Journey. There he is. There's Chester. There he is. All right, good stuff. Now we can roll. Let's see. Speaking things into existence. Yeah, exactly. G Lover. I know it's Glover. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Oscar, good morning. Wealth Building Journey. Yikes, that's scary. Meets and bounds, always learning. I never knew about that. Me either. Well, I knew about meets and bounds, but I didn't know how it pertained to my situation because I had 2 separate tax lots. And the crazy thing is, the 2 separate tax lots show a line. They show a line where the 2 lots are divided. So the fact that I had this problem, guys, this is nuts. This is why, again, even at 22 years investing, stuff still comes up. Now, it was a paperwork issue, definitely a paperwork issue, but one that's now going to cost me thousands of dollars, which more than a little bit sucks because I would have negotiated that into the deal. But now I can't because I agreed to a different deal. Even though that changed, it's not worth doing. Do you have 1 or 2 title policies on the property? Only 1 because I bought them together. Yep. The deed, you can buy properties together. You can have 1 title policy. What you need is insurable title based on what the deed says. And if it had meets and bounds, if it even had track 1, track 2, I'd have been fine with even 1 deed, even on 1 policy. What broke it was no meets and bounds, no track 1, track 2 in the deed, thus meaning it had to be subdivided or condominiumized in order to complete a transaction. So they had something they could insure. Wealth Building Journey, hit the like button, everyone. Thank you very much. Wow. YouTube won't let me send a super chat. I'll let them charge my account for each try. Oh, dear heavens. Don't do that. I appreciate the effort. T, good morning, everyone. Good morning, T. Flash of light. Hey, good morning. Hi, Matt. Do you have AC in Siberia? Oh, yeah. It gets to be 100 here in the summertime. It can be -20 in the winter and it can be 100 in the summer. Yep. That's what makes landlording here the most challenging place in the country because of the vast amount of swing that you have with seasons. So if you are believe it or not, if you're in Siberia, it's easier to be a landlord because you don't ever have to worry about anything other than, keeping it warm enough. When you're here, it's 100 in the summertime. It can be -20 in the wintertime. You better have both. All-nighter or super stickers. I can press the button on my phone. Things then sending happens. Sorry, dude, don't worry about it, my man. Don't worry about it. All-nighter hider. Yeah, try closing YouTube and reopening. Yeah, don't blow it, dude. I never noticed deeds. Exactly. When do we see the deed? At closing of purchase? Yes, it's at closing of purchase. However, you can always ask to see the current deed when they list it in MLS, when they list it online somewhere, when you're talking to somebody, they say, yeah, we're listing this. You can look up the property at the registry of deeds. That's what it's called, the registry of deeds. And sometimes that's held on a town level. Sometimes it's held on a county level, but you can actually get a copy of the deed. And then you can see exactly what that deed says. And that should have your boundary lines and things like that on there. And sometimes you can find out that, oh, the vacant lot, I've literally seen it happen where somebody's like, oh yeah, but somebody else owns that lot. And I'm like, no, they don't. Like, yeah, nah, they don't. I own that lot. They're like, no, somebody else owns that. No, I do. It's on my deed. It's actually a tiny lot that was not able to be accessed. And so this guy bought it from this guy because it had no other access. Happens like that all the time. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, make sure you're checking out your deeds. You guys should always have copies of your deeds anyway. When you go to close and buy a property, that's why they're preparing a new deed for you. It's all the old information. But what they do is they do all the research on the deed to make sure that it's insurable, because if there's a mistake on that deed, they have to pay to fix it. So that's why you have title insurance. Wealth building journey. Wow. Yeah, that's the baby. Mandy W. Aw, congrats. T, she's so precious. She is precious. Like my other 3 kids. One of my kids is you guys probably all know, it's Eliana. She is obsessed with the baby. And she's like, announces everything she does. She's crying. Yeah, we know. She needs her passy. We know. We know. She's hungry. Yep. We know. And then she just goes, I'm all done. I'm all done. That's what she does. I'm all done. That's when she's done holding her. Congratulations, Matt and Ashley. Thank you, Chester. Laura Samaniego. OMG, she's adorable. Thank you. BF, congratulations. Thank you. Oh, wow. My eyes just started to sweat a bit. Yes, I understand that. Every single time, right when my daughters or sons. So what's really crazy is, so we had IVF babies, and yeah, this is an overshare. Yeah, it's total overshare, but I'm still going to share it. So we had IVF babies. Here's what's really crazy. My son, Samuel, weighed 7 pounds, 11 ounces. And then I had my daughter, Bryn, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. And then I had my daughter, Eliana, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. And then I had my daughter, Abigail, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. How nuts is that? They were all, I literally said to Ashley, I go, apparently you can only grow an 8.6 pound baby. She's like, so true, because Bryn was like 7 days overdue. Eliana was 3 days overdue. And this one was like 3 or 4 days underdue, or early. And they were all exactly the same weight. So literally her body reaches capacity. It's just like, nope, out. It's really funny. T, congrats. Thank you so much. All-nighter. She's such a cutie. Thank you. Abigail is precious. Thank you, Sam. Dividend Dave, congrats. BuzzTune, congrats, Lumberjack family. Yes, it's very big now, and we're stopping. The Yoder, congratulations on the news in addition to the family. Thank you very much. Welcome to the world, you guys. Yeah, I know. Very cool. I'm excited. Richard, what a beauty. Thank you. Now you're going to have to play zone defense with the kids instead of man-to-man. That's exactly right. That's exactly. We had to do that when we went with 3 kids and 2 adults. Yeah. Yep. Zone is no joke, man. Zone's tough. Zone's tough. Zone's tough. They can get in trouble really fast. Best of luck with Abigail. She's going to be a great landlord. Yes. Yes. Samuel goes, we were having an adult conversation around him, and it was about somebody not paying the rent. He goes, Dad. I said, yeah. He goes, why are they not paying the rent? So that's a good question, son. He goes, they need to pay. That's not right. Oh, I'm going to put him on the phone with them. It's so awesome. Yeah. I did tell him, I was like, hey, just so you know, when they don't pay the rent, we can't buy toys. Just as an FYI. He started laughing. He's like, you're joking, right? I was like, no, I'm serious. He goes, we got to get them to pay their rent. Yeah, we do. Lumberjack, it doesn't matter how many years you're in the business. Every day you see something new. It's so true, BF. Yep. Whenever I bought vacant land, I would always get a survey. Absolutely. See, and that's the thing though, is that when it's vacant land, I agree with you 100%. When it's 2 buildings buying next to each other, buying them at the same time, I expected them to be on the same deed. So the fact that there wasn't a second deed, didn't really think about it. The fact that I had 2 tax cards, didn't think about it. So it was one of those things where it's like, it looks like a duck. It smells like a duck. It sounds like a duck. Bad news. It's a hippopotamus. And so that's exactly what happened, is that it turned into that. It turned into, it was the last thing I thought that I had to check, but clearly something that you have to check. So I would encourage you all. BF's exactly right. If you're ever buying land, you must get it surveyed. However, when you're buying houses or buildings, you never are getting surveyed, or very, very rarely are you getting surveyed. But this one now has to be surveyed because it's the only way to get proper meets and bounds to be able to then condo it, to then be able to subdivide it. Only option. Let's see. Flash of light on the AC. Do you put in a hard start when you replace the capacitor as a way to extend life of the AC? Do you DIY this personally because it's so easy for you to do, or still outsource this? So most of our AC, we don't have a whole lot of central air. We mostly have window units. And so we leave that up to tenants, especially if they pay the rent or if they pay the heat. You want an AC in your window all winter long? That's your call. That's stupid because it's going to get freezing in your room, but that's the way you want it. Fine. Knock yourself out. Let's see. But as far as our HVAC stuff, no, I don't. That's nothing that we do. We would have an HVAC company do that. We don't have a lot of it. We just don't have a lot. Yeah. Yep. Good idea, BF. Yes, exactly. Yeah. If ever you're buying land, you must get it surveyed. The thing is that a lot of times, right, there you're going to be in competition with people who don't want it surveyed. If it's land, everybody's going to want it surveyed. Everybody's going to want a current survey to understand what it is, what rules have changes, if there's any zoning changes, if there's any other considerations that need to be made. You want to make sure you have something current. A lot of times you can do something called site review, which is you can actually take a survey, take it to your own surveyor and say, can you just take a look at this? Make sure that I'm not missing anything. Make sure that there's no gotchas here. You can absolutely do that. And with land, it's a must. Yeah, it's a must. JNYC, congrats on the new baby. Hope your wife is doing well. Thank you very much. She's doing very well. We have 3 other little helpers. That's what we call them right now. There are 3 other little things too. Harry Hanno, good morning. Good morning, Harry. Ever wonder which of your 4 progeny will be best suited to run the business? Hope it's one of them. Personal experience. Yep. Great camp last night. Thanks again. Stay humble. Teach, teach, teach. Totally with you, Harry. It was a great camp last night. It had a blast. We went for almost 3 hours because we had about an hour with the attorney, which was awesome. Do I know which ones? Yeah, I think so. So they're all going to grow up in the business. They're all going to grow up in the business. They're all going to do every job in the business. My girls will spend time in an office when we have one. They will spend time in the field meeting contractors. They will spend time in the field, showing up. I think the way that I see it now is, so we have all of our kids pretty normally tested as far as aptitude, what skills they're picking up, what things are doing well at, what they need to continue to be what needs to continue to be worked on. And, if I had to guess it right now, I think Sam would probably be behind the scenes, very CFO oriented. If I had to guess, I would say Bryn is probably the hammer, and Eliana will be the number 2. She'll be the one that if it didn't work with Bryn, then Eliana will get involved. And Abigail's only 3 days old, so we're not going to put anything on her yet. But for me, it's not, they don't have to be in the business. They don't have to take over the business, but they're all going to grow up in the business. That's the best way that I can give my kids a massive advantage over the doofuses that are out there in the market today. If you own a business, you got to take your kid into that business and show them the ropes, show them what it's like to work with customers, show them what it's like to earn. You got to show them what it's like to earn, and be of value and do the right thing and have character, honor, and integrity in how you do business. That's your job as a parent. That's my job, certainly. And so that's what my kids are going to be around that a lot. Yeah. So they're already around it now. They go to collect rent. You've seen on my Instagram, Sam was grabbing a stack of cash that we went and collected rent. And we just said, hi, we're here to collect rent. He said, okay. And they gave us the money. And I said, thank you very much. And then Sam said, thank you very much. And we got in the car. I said, they pay us to live there because we own the building. So we do all of that stuff. But yeah, you're exactly right, Harry. I'm interested to see how it goes. We'll see. Josh Coster, do you incorporate automation in your processes? Yes, I do. And in fact, we are working on that as we speak. We do a lot of things really well. A lot of the processes are manual, i.e. this happens, then we go do this. This happens, then we go do that. One of the things that we're doing is we're automating a lot of those processes behind the scenes. So then it just becomes managing the entire company from this, and good. There's no data there that you can see on that card. But that's kind of that. So yeah, we are in the process of automating now so we will have, and it's not going to be difficult. It's actually something that we're going to be doing a course on, adding to my course, because there's 4 or 5 things that you can do to drastically improve your tenant experience, but also drastically reduce the amount of personal involvement that they have with you, if that makes sense. So yeah, we are actually going to do something like that in the course after we get it all set up, because I want to be able to demo it to you guys and show it to you. These are all things that we've been thinking about for the last few months. And we're in the process of completing them. But yeah, we will absolutely spend any more time doing that sort of stuff. All-nighter. LOL. I'm a terrible dad. Only 2 kids. I don't remember their weights. That's all right. Mine was easy, Hyder. I only had to remember 1 3 times. So I cheated. And the only reason I remember Samuel's is because I literally, kid you not, as a commemoration of his birth weight, I went and I got 7-Eleven and I had 7-Eleven hot dogs. That's a wicked overshare, but it's true. It's true. That's what happened. Let's see. All-nighter Hider. LOL. Rent equals toys. I suppose so after the debt hammer. Exactly. Right. He's going to be keenly and acutely aware of anybody that's late in rent. Wealth building journey. So how does a land survey work? What is the surveyors are looking for in recording? What they're really recording is they're looking for the pins. There's usually pins or what are called landmarks around a property. And what they're looking for is they want to take out, they want to really figure out the measurements of all of that. So when they're looking at all the different pins, they're looking at everything and saying, okay, these are the exact measurements based on the pins, because sometimes it's around buildings, up and down a side. So that's what a survey is. It's basically when you go to the town and they want to see a survey of your lot. They want to see, where all the pins are. They want to see the boundary lines, because from those, depending on what the zoning is, it then says, these are what the setbacks are. So you guys have seen in like small claims court where people are arguing where a fence is. That's what happens. Somebody says you can't put up a fence there because it's in what's called the setback. Others say, yeah, you know what? We can mutually agree that we're going to put this up. Others say, nope, you can't build the property that close to the line because it has a setback. There's also stuff in like high density housing that says, we expect you're going to use up at least 75% of the land with the footprint of the building. Kid you not. That's what they literally say. So when we look at that, that's what everything is based off of. It's all based off the survey and then the zoning that is allowed in that area. I think it's just boundaries. Yep. But that's just a guess. Yeah. So it's boundaries, but then it's what you then do with those boundaries, right? How close you can have a building, where you can put a fence, all sorts of rules, because what you'll find when you look at the zoning code is it will tell you, you can only, with this zoning, you can't be closer than 10 feet, 25 feet, 50 feet. It will say you need to have R40 is a zoning that we use. R40 stands for 40,000 square feet per lot. So it's just under an acre. An acre is 44,000 square feet. So R40 says you have to have basically just under an acre in order to do a house lot. And it has to have this much frontage. And that's where all of the survey comes in. It's really foundationally what's needed to then leverage what zoning is in place in that area to then build any project, do any project, make any modifications, add any ADUs. If you're going to do an ADU, you're going to need to have some sort of a survey. It's almost guaranteed. There are some ways that you can get around doing a survey for an ADU, but in many cases, in many states, you do need a survey. Let's see. Robert Farinelli. Hello, Matt. Made it today. Good to have you, Robert. SK, for remote property, how do you ensure tenants replace the air filter and the HVAC regularly? You don't. There's no way to do it. That's exactly the problem. You can have them send you a picture, but there's no way to actually monitor that they're doing it. What you're better off doing is having a 6-month handyman, go in and just say, hey, I'm going to pay you for an hour. Let's say it's 40, 50 bucks. Send them in there. You have them swap that out. You have them make sure that all the lights work. You have them do a smoke detector test. Then you can also see it. Are you having some sort of a problem in the apartment? That's what you would do if you're remote. For us, we just make that part of our, regimen, is that every 6 months, we're usually in a unit for something. But if not, it's something that we actually will go in and check and just do a quick, 15, 20-minute walk around. We check under the sinks. There's like a little maintenance list that we do to just to make sure that there's not some problem that's small. It's going to become big. Yeah, you can have them send. Yep. You can have them send that when they send their rent. Sure. Yep. What we do is we make it really easy. We actually, when we usually go with a 20 by 24 or 24 by 24 filter. We actually buy them in bulk. So we'll actually leave the next spare there or 2 spares there. That way they don't even have to go buy it. All they got to do is swap the thing. But that makes it really easy on whoever the maintenance guy is. It can be my same guy, or it can be one of my 5 guys. Doesn't matter, because we always have the filter right there. Congrats on number 4. Thank you. BF, does your wife help you with the business? Yes, she's back office. Yep, she takes a credit card. She puts them into our, she takes all the charges that we have, all the bills that we have, all the everything that we have. She takes all that. She puts all of that into our property management system, so we can have a full on reporting at the end of the year. Here's everything that was spent, everywhere it was spent, put it into the appropriate category. So we actually do everything. That's why having financials in your PM system is really important. That's why it's really important, because we don't have to put it in QuickBooks and put it there. Put it in one place only. Makes it really, really easy. JMIC, what a blessing. I wish my parents had been REIs and taught me from young. Thanks, JMIC. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to be hard because they're going to learn a lot of the life lessons, right? But when Samuel is 13, 14 years old, he'll be working in the field. He'll be with one of the guys in the crew, and he'll start off like everybody else does. He'll start off probably with lawns. And then if he does well with that or not, he's still going to be working the next summer and doing something else. I expect, by the time he's 18, to have a better grasp on business than most college professors, because he will have actually run one, not read about them in books, and had somebody that taught him the right way. SK, if a spouse is claiming real estate professional status and I'm in a W-2, yep. Can I still count some? Nope. Some of the hours I spent towards total material participation for her rep's qualification. No, it's her, not cumulative. It's her. She's the one with the real estate professional status. She's the one that has to rack up the hours. So I think it's 15 to 17 hours. Now you can do 15 to 17 hours if you do rehabs plus manage your own assets. Have a YouTube channel. Believe it or not, this actually counts. But I have a W-2, so it doesn't count for me. So for her, it's really truthfully all in. It's essentially a part-time job. It's essentially a part-time job. But when she needs to go out and run an errand, because we're local, she can make stopping off and checking out a couple of properties. Like, hey, this guy just went there. The roofer just went there. The painter just went there. The dumpster says it wasn't picked up here, that sort of stuff. Right. So literally every single day she leaves the house, she has somewhere that she goes and she does a stop, a drive by, and then stopping and just taking a quick look around. Because it takes time to get there. It takes time to do it. But every single day, that's some of it. Now, here's the thing that curates a better experience for our tenants. And number 2 is it makes sure that when somebody says that they're done, that they're actually done, that we actually pay them, but that they're actually done. The being actually done thing is really the most important. You got to be actually done. And so that's why that is so important. Josh Coster, I know you advocate being where you own. Yep. How do you foster the same level of collaboration when managing rentals remotely? Don't know, because I don't do it. Don't know. I don't do it. I don't know that you can. I mean, I think Millennial Mike does probably the best job of that. Zoob does it, but he pays a fortune in PM fees, a fortune. Mike does it and he pays a decent amount in PM fees. They do. They just pay a decent amount of money. That's where I think in my course, I think that if you set up the process with automation, property management, insourcing, it's a fallacy if people think that they can own a bunch of stuff out of state and they never go and visit it. You're going to lose. I predict for you, you're going to lose. You have to be in the properties. You have to touch them. You have to see them. You at least have to make a visit to them. It's not reality that you can never go there. You can't. You don't know what's going on. If you put your eye on a place 10 years later, That's not a good thing. You got to go with some sort of frequency. And that's why people that invest in 7 different places around the country, people that invest like that and don't have any volume are putting a huge strain on the business. You have to know 7 states' laws. You have to have 7 different handymen. You have to have 7 of everything. That's a way to lose unless you're building out the footprint. That's why it becomes repeatable and easy for me, is that I own all of them within 20 minutes of each other. Anytime anything comes up, it's the same crew that's going to go out and see it. It makes me an expert, an elite expert in my market. There's ways to do what I do remotely, but you still have to go and be there. You do. You have to go and be there, certainly until you're of size. It's much less expensive for me to have, we have a bunch of projects that we have going on. So I need a PM, property manager, but project manager. So because of that, I'm able to go see stuff. He's able to go see stuff. We're able to get together and talk about stuff. He's very valuable to the business. And he's somebody that I don't want to pay a property manager. I have my own project manager. And what I pay him is a fraction of what a PM would cost me. And the job is done better. I'm the only priority, and we prioritize what's on his schedule. It makes it much, much smarter and cleaner how to do it. He still knows all the subs. He can call a sub. He can call the plumber. He can call XYZ. If he checks something out and he goes, yep, that's a problem. So that's kind of the key, right? That's the best path, is having, for me, again, just based on how we're going to grow the business. Kip SOS Investments. Good afternoon, sir. Good to have you here. BF, earlier you said survey was going to cost $4,000 to $5,000. That sounds ridiculously expensive. Raw land is a lot easier to survey. Raw land's much easier to survey. It's much less expensive. Here in the Northeast, it's buildings. I've got 6 surveyors that I've worked with, and they're all between $4,000 and $6,000 for a survey. Yep. So that's could be it could be regional. So it could be I think you're in Vegas, BF. So that could be it. But land is a completely different story. If I'm looking at a land survey, a couple $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. But with buildings, meets and bounds, having to do all that stuff, get in a deed, it's different, more expensive. Let's see. Wealth building journey. Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. Kip SOS, family as well. Family as well. Thank you very much. You missed it seeing Abigail. Thanks. Well, you can rewind. That's the good news. Brian Beck, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Corby Carter, good to see you as well. 2 alumnus from the Lumberjack Landlord boot camps. Oscar, hey guys, in California last week, they just passed Bill 1033 that you can sell your ADU under condominium rules and regulations. Take it from there, guys. Yes, you can. Still California. And I think that will make a little bit of a difference. The problem is when you're creating those ADUs, the rules there are absurd. They're absurd. Solar panels, all this stuff, they're a nightmare. So that is the new rule. That is how it works. And they're also doing it. They say they're doing it to help the housing situation. That doesn't help the housing situation. You have to build them. And to build them means you have to go through their stupid process. And in going through that stupid process, it's going to be a lot more expensive than you thought. Then you're going to pass that cost on, and then they're going to get taxes when the thing sells. That's how it works. So, yes. BF, LOL, my wife does exactly the same thing for me in the Quicken program. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's always that data entry point. What we're getting really, really good at is at time of purchase, taking a picture of the receipt, sending it in, attaching it to the property in the system and entering the few data points, which is, was it for rehab? Was it for repair? And then what it was, and then just entering in the amount. That should drastically reduce the amount of time that she has to spend on that stuff, because that is a lion's share. Preparation of our taxes is hundreds of hours of work over the course of the year, hundreds of hours, making sure that the books are right and everything is taken care of. It's a lot. Robert Farinelli. So remember I talked about last week a building with an IBC that isn't used for hot water. Yep. Well, I figured out it's a DC 2125. It's being used to heat a 4-bedroom house. Looking at the technical specs on their site, output 18.6 to 110. I estimate the unit is 2,000 square feet, which using zone 6 heat calculation would be 110,000 BTU. Yep. Not sure where to figure out the gas pressure from the city. Well, so you have to find that out from Unitil. All that being said, use correct IBC for hot water. B, get a gas heat pump state water for 50 to 80 gallons. C, replace with the IBC with a CX 150 that does hot water and can output up to 138,000.5 MBTUs. All the math sounds generally speaking right. The only thing that I would do is I would consult whoever installs the IBCs. I would run that equation past them, and don't do it past the installer. Do it with they usually should have an engineer, and you can actually call IBC directly, their engineering department. You can actually get a call with them and say, this is the scenario that I have, and they'll actually give you some input. So I won't do you the disservice of trying to figure that all out. But I can tell you that it sounds like a reasonable plan, but I would just give I would give that information. I would give that to IBC. I would contact them directly and say, this is what my thoughts are. Laura Samaniego, Matt, you are so right. Thank you. You must be able to visit your property in order to know what really is going on. My duplex is 2.5 hours away. I have a PM, and every time I'm there was a problem. I knew first. See? And that's a bad PM. I won't lie to you, Laura. That's a bad PM. You know that's a bad PM. I think the real issue is people do what's inspected, not what's expected, right? And so if we have a means by which, and that's what I teach in my course, right? Property management insourcing. These are all, and I can't cover it. So it takes an hour to teach it. So all of the things, and I know there's going to be somebody that says, that's okay, I've got the next hour. I don't. But if you property management insource, it's putting in all of the framework in place where you don't need a PM. You don't need a PM. You really, truly can, based on the information that you gather from the unit, you can set yourself up where you have your network that you reach out to for any of the things that may come up. So yes, you're still the phone call, potentially, but you can set that up differently too. However, you can absolutely do remote management PM without having a PM. I know I did it. And do you want to know how I did it? I did it because when my daughter was sick with cancer, I couldn't go to my properties. I couldn't be in front of tenants. I couldn't be around them because they could make me sick. And if they made me sick, they'd make her sick. She had no white blood cells. So the challenge that I had was I had to act as if I was completely remote managing. That's how I set all this stuff up. And that's why I know that it works. What I implemented, I managed all of my properties for a year, and I didn't set place in any of them once. Not once. Now, I set up the process that I had with property management insourcing, making sure that we had a lot of those things already there. I hired people to go do the other steps of the PM insourcing. So that way I had all of the data that I needed to then allocate task and hand out tasks to the different appropriate people to then go get something done if something needed to be taken care of. Yep. That's the right way to do it. I believe that that's the most powerful. Legacy op. I'm right with you on touching your long distance rentals. Yep. That's what I've done for 4 years. I'm tired of traveling sometimes 3 times in a year. I'm moving back to where my rentals are. Legacy op. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm happy to hear that because it's going to make the business more profitable. It is. Guys, you can make it profitable remote investing, but people that think that you don't have to go, like Millennial Mike's going 2 and 3 times a year into his market. You know, he's going 2 and 3 times a year. Zuber was in his market 3 times a month for 2 years. He hasn't gone very much in the last 3 years, but he's also paying 6 figures, over 6 figures to a PM firm. Guys, you can do that, but that's over 6 figures. That means you basically need almost twice as many properties to have the same level of profit when you're starting out. You have to have twice as many properties to make the same amount of money because you have to pay that huge PM fee. I kind of want to do a property management shirt that says heads I win, tails you lose. Because that's the way I felt when I used PMs. That's why when my daughter got sick, I said, I can't hire a PM. They don't do a good job. They are usually bad at what they do. And very few of these PM firms actually own their own assets. That's a problem. That's a problem. They're only out there to build a business and get customers and be profitable. I'm out there to get the job done right. Jessica. For those of you who don't know, Jess is a PM. But I think that's right, Jess. Like, you're a different PM because she's actually in the Lumberjack Landlord course in the boot camp. But a lot of times, right, it is definitely okay. My wife, she's awesome. I totally forgot that I have an appointment. No problem. She's like, but I'm just going to take the kids. Okay, sounds good. BF, don't even get into this business if you're going to hire a PM. You know what, BF? I sort of agree with that. I sort of agree with that. I think there are exceptions. But if the only way that you're doing this is to have a PM and that's the only idea that you have about this, I don't love that. I think you'll get better returns in other areas. I do. PMs are expensive and they get paid for their effort and their work. Some are good. I can tell you, I was hesitant to let a PM in my course. And so I had to have a talk with her first. I talked with her for about an hour. She has the great mindset. The way that she manages her customers is on point. She has the right insurances in place. She has the right contacts in place. She has the right level of communication in place. The challenge is it's math. But BF's right. PMs make more money than the owners, but they are the ones doing the work. So that's why I encourage you, invest in yourselves. If you buy my course, it will make you a better landlord. It will reduce your costs and how you manage your portfolio, and you will make more money than you're making today. Ask any of the students in. I think Frank Contreras is here. Ask any of the people, if any of the stuff have been playing, Corby, any of these guys, ask them if what they learned in the course made them better at managing their properties and having them make more money. Guarantee it does. I know it even does for Jess. Jess would admit some of the things that she's learned in the course have helped her make more money as a PM and save her clients money, save her owners money. SK, can you talk about top 1 or 2 tax strategies you are elite at and use beyond basic depreciation? Nope. And the reason I don't talk about them is because I am elite at running a business. I am elite at setting up processes and projects and running projects, design, how to get the most out of a property, how to better communicate with tenants, how to manage attorneys, how to do transactions, how to find deals, how to close deals. I am not elite on the tax side. So I heavily lean on my CPA and my EA. And I say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Does that check out? And they say, yep, you'll have to do it this way, then do it this way, then do this. Perfect. So I lean on them for all of that stuff. I'm never coming up with these tax strategies. That's not my game. Nope. Those guys went to school for years. They have to test every single year. They're the ones that I pay for their expertise, just like people pay for my expertise when they want to become a landlord, when they want to know how to manage their properties, when they want to know how to manage tenants, when they want to know how to grow their business. They pay me for that because I'm an expert at that. I pay EAs and CPAs. I pay them to do that. So not that I'm avoiding the answering the question. I want to just be honest with you. I'm not the one that comes up with tax strategy. I'm the one that talks to them and says, this is what some of my plans are. How do we set this up? Or is this just a fool's errand and it's just going to cost me a bunch of money? It's not going to turn into anything. I have those conversations with them. Yeah. Wealth building journey. SK, sounds like a question for Bob Langworthy with Maine bean counters. Yep. Bob Langworthy is my accountant. He is a rock star. I spent years looking for somebody like that. I had one. He was awful. I used him for years. It cost me a fortune. I went to another one. She was awful. She told me that I was going to end up with a $10,000 bill. I ended up with a $50,000 refund. Yeah. So suffice to say, she didn't get the job. But Bob is elite. He is special at what he does. Hyder had a 15-minute call, catching up 2 times. Then I'll try and talk a little bit slower, because if I talk like this and it's 2 times, you'll barely be able to understand anything. Nina, how can I find a Section 8 tenant for my rental? Great question, Nina. What I do is I call the local housing authority and I tell them that I have a unit that I have available, and I would like to understand what the process is to become a landlord for Section 8. Usually what it entails is you actually getting the unit inspected, passing that inspection, doing the things that needed to get that inspection done. And then you can also tell them, do you guys have any open vouchers right now where you have people that are looking? And then you just have your criteria. You give them a link, or you send them an application, say, please apply here. And then you have your criteria. You balance things against that criteria. And then you decide whether or not you want to give them a showing or not. So that's actually the best way to become a Section 8 landlord, is to speak with housing directly. Let them know that you want to get the unit inspected because you'd like to consider putting it in the program. But I would talk to them up front. You need to know your numbers. If you're in my course, you can look at the rent box, create your own rent box, and then you know exactly what you should be charging for that unit. If you don't, then you should be in my course and doing a rent box. But you can do that and then have that conversation with what's called an HCV specialist. It's a housing choice voucher specialist. You can have that conversation with them. And when you do, then they're able to give you good input on, this is what the next step in the process is. And you want to know up front, okay, what would you guys cover for rent here? You can find that on HUD.gov/FMR. Which stands for fair market rents. You can look up your state, then look up your city, and then you can see what they charge for rents. Please read the fine print, because that number that they show you includes all utilities. Let me know if that helps, Nina. Jess, laughing at my t-shirt joke. Don't get into the business if you're hiring a PM. Yep. Matt, you are right. Again, I do have a bad PM. I managed it for a year. Then I got the PM. My 12 to 18 months goal is to build a unit in the back of the duplex, retire, and move into that unit. Laura, I love the plan. It sounds awesome. The only PMs I like are gold and silver. Precious metals. Nicely done. BF Matt, you and I know the ins and outs of this business. Yep, we do. I agree. Corby Carter, you will make more money. Absolutely concur. Thank you, Corby. I appreciate that. Corby was in the Lumberjack Landlord Bootcamp. Guys, there's no doubt. I know how to get the most. Listen, when we talk about returns, I'm not talking about single-digit returns. In a lot of cases, I'm not talking even about returns in the teens. Most of my properties are over 20%. Now, there's a portion of that comes from time, but there's also another portion of that because I follow my mantra, which is acquisition, stabilization, optimization. Very few landlords even get to stabilization. Some do, most don't. But I can tell you the number of people that get to optimization is almost zero. It's single digits. If people can take that same asset and optimize that asset to know that everything is running as well as it possibly can run with that asset, then you know that you have a higher priced, more valuable asset when it goes to market because you document those things. And that's worth its weight in gold. That means you're up for a very quick sale, and you're up for a quick sale at the top of the market. When you have your stuff dialed in, where you can literally walk people through all of the things that I talk about, how to optimize your unit, all the things that you need to do, that's a fast sale. That's a fast sale. Even in a tough market, it's a faster sale than the other stuff out there, because the other stuff out there, most landlords are usually selling off their problems, right? Listen to what Zub says. Oh yeah, that one just never really performed. Sold it off. That's what they do. That's what bigger landlords do. They sell off the stuff that doesn't perform, right? That's what they do. So you need to be in a position where you understand how to ascertain, this is what needs to happen to stabilize it. This is what needs to happen to optimize it. And that's what I teach. Robert, there we go. Robert Fairnelly, wow, great to know that IBC will give you that much help. They will. Yep, no wonder you like their product. Had 2 in my current unit for 1.5 years, held up very well in the 30 degrees minus back in February. Guys, I won't talk to you about a product negatively or positively until at least I've used it for a year. If the first year that I had it, it was just a cantankerous beast and it just never, we couldn't get it right. I'll say, just couldn't get it right. Don't know what the problem was. Didn't like the brand, didn't like how it worked. Wasn't a good fit for us. But the stuff that I talk about, IBC boilers, Defiant keypads for door locks, Kidda and First Alert for carbon and combo smokes, Sunco for lights, the different tools that we use that are worth their weight in gold for us. That when you're self-managing in the area, it's worth having them. But yeah, we only talk about products, and I talk to people about products all the time, and it's like, I want to put that stuff up there and use it and see that it works, see that it's not burning out, see that it's not junk. So we have literally thousands, over 1,000, I think between 1,000 and 2,000 of those Sunco lights in the field. We've only replaced 2. And that we've been using them for 5 years. We've only replaced 2. Those are numbers I can get behind. The Defiance, same thing. We've been using those as part of our 3 lock sets. We're getting away from the quick set Brinks. Somebody else just bought that. We're getting away from that lock. That lock was really good under quick set. It got a little bit worse under Brinks, and it's fallen off a cliff with this other company. We actually returned our last order. Yep. BF, what most people don't understand about having rental properties is it is a business, not just being the owner money man. It's so true. It's so true. It really is a business. And that's why guys that are good at this business are good at other businesses. That's why guys that do some of this stuff, they own other businesses. It's because it's just like running a business. And that's one of the things that I can impart to you guys is I've run companies, been executive in companies for 20 years. As an executive, I know how business works. Running the real estate stuff, I've done the same. Small business, I've done the same. I've done it all with this stuff. You still learn, you still make mistakes, all that stuff happens, but the frequency that you have mistakes is much smaller, and it gets smaller and smaller as you do it. And then the profits go up more and more. Nina, thank you. Nina, you're welcome. Wealth building journey. What I've noticed is that a lot of processes in the course reduce inefficiencies, and clearly inefficiencies are costly. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. He's right. I mean, it is a lot of stuff that you could spend 10 or 20 years figuring out, or it's stuff that you can take the experience that I have and learn from the bad mistakes that I've made and from the good things that I've done and how I fixed the problem for myself. And then you say, yeah, that fits me. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I like it. No, I don't. Some people take the course and they're like, man, there were 4 or 5 really cool things in there. And then there's other people that take it and they're like, there were like 4 or 5 cool things in every lesson that you did. So I have no idea if you're going to benefit of it 5x or 500x. I know that you'll benefit of it because you're talking about a 20-year operator. No people on here have 20 years operations with over 100 units. And that's the only story that I try and share with you guys, because the world is getting more and more difficult to be a landlord in. This definitely puts you on a right path to being able to better protect yourself for sure. Let's see. Wealth building journey. Thank you very much for posting the link to the course. BF 20%. A lot of that comes from time. Sure, there's a decent amount that comes from time, but there's a good amount of that comes from, it can be market condition, but it can also be doing value add, and that's one of the things that I teach a lot in the course is doing value add. And so when we look at a unit, and you're buying it and the units are under rented, right? Think of it this way. I bought a building where both of the rents were $1,200 a piece. Both of them were $1,200 a piece. The landlord said, I'm selling this because I can't make it work. It doesn't pay me enough money. Fair enough. Fair enough. She's like, a lot of times I'm having to dig into my own pocket to pay for something, and that just doesn't work. It never dawned on her that she could raise the rent. So what I did within 60 days of buying the building is I spent about $10,000. I fixed everything on the tenants lists. I fixed the stuff on my lists. Everything is up, running operationally and in good shape. The rents are now $1,900 and $1,700. Do the math. That's $3,600. We went from 24 to 36. That's a 50% increase in rents. Now, when I bought the property, did it make some money? It did. It was a rounding error, but I knew that I could get that bump. I knew I could get that bump. When you go from 2,400 to 3,600, a 50% increase in rents because you were able to manage it, make it better, make it nicer, update it, upgrade it. When you're able to do that, your returns are in the 20s all day long. So it doesn't only take time. You can actually do it if you buy value add. And so there are opportunities out there with people that have dumps that are under market in rents because it's somebody that's owned the building for 20 or 25 years. You know, they talk to the agent's like, yeah, the market's really moving, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh my word. Yeah. Now's the time to sell. Let's get rid of this stupid thing. $2,400 a month in rent. She couldn't really afford to keep up with upkeep of the building. She wasn't doing any of the capital projects. You know, we got ahead of it. She'd already paid for siding. She already paid for windows. She'd already paid for a roof. She already paid for heating systems in the last 5 years. Yeah, I get it. She was losing her ass, but she'd already done all the big stuff. All that was left was me fine tuning. That's why I could do everything for 10 grand. And then having the conversation with the tenants. Hey, I'm going to do all this work, but I want to make sure that, you know, one of them was Section 8. That's lazy. That's lazy. For 7 years, it took for the rent to go from 12 to 19, 7 years. She'd never raised the person's rent. Too lazy, didn't know how, something. But I find assets like that all the time. 65, 70, 75-year-old landlords that aren't active, that anytime the tenant calls, it's a nuisance. They ignore their calls. You know, that landlord wants to be out of the game, help take them out of the game, you know, and that's where you can buy. Like what I bought the property for, you know what? Let me find out. Let me just look. I will tell you exactly what I owe on that property. Because I think it's a really good example. So I bought that property just a couple of years ago. Come on. Okay. All right. Wait. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I want to give you specifics because a lot of people think you can only make money based on appreciation or based on owning it for a significant amount of time. It's part of the equation, but not all of the equation. Is this it right here? Yeah, that's it. So I bought that building for about 350, I think, based on these numbers. Yeah, I bought that building for about 350. My current mortgage on it is 260. My transfer or my payment, including escrow, this is taxes, insurance, and principal and interest. So this is PITI, PITI, is $2,419. It's $2,419. That's what my mortgage payment is. 30-year fixed rate debt, $2,419. So when I brought the property, yeah, it was basically about a break even because I knew what I could get for the rents. Now, so all of that 3,600, all of that 12, because there's only a tiny little bit of expense left, and that's like the maintenance stuff. But because she'd done all the big stuff, all the maintenance stuff is small, and it's like maybe I'd have to look. It's less than $2,000. So, you know, let's say it's 2,400. Let's take 2 months out right away. So we have 10 months of profit at $1,200 a month, 10 at 12. So that's $12,000. There you go. 12 grand. And rents are going up again this year. They're going up from 36 to 4 because that's what that market's worth. So yeah, 12 grand I made on that building. My down payment on that was, yeah, it was like, what was it? Did I pay for that? So down payment was like 70, maybe. Yeah, down payment was right around 70. So year one, making 13 points. Year two, it's going to go, what are we going to? 4. So that's 16. Maintenance will go down because we did a bunch of deferred maintenance stuff. Maintenance will go down. So we'll probably be like a month and a half. So we'll be at 14, no, 12, 16, 16,000, 17,000, 17,000 on 70 will be our profit year, will be our profit on year two. 17, oops. Yeah, 17. 24%. 1 year, I'm in the 20s. Buying an undervalued asset, buying one that an older landlord had, buying one that the rents were taken care of yet, buying one that had some delayed maintenance, buying one that she had done a lot of the big work. 24% year two. Yep. This is what we teach in the course. You can find deals like that. They're not, I didn't find the only one because I have one after the other like that in my portfolio. But admittedly, year one, you're going to spend a little bit of money, but that's the stabilization phase. I got the acquisition. Now I'm stabilizing. I'm doing the work that needs to be done to make it a better, cleaner unit, one that's going to rent for more money, one that's going to be seen in the market better, one that's going to rent faster every single time I go and rent it. And so that first 12 months, I'm getting all that stuff out of the way. And then a lot of those things, boom. Now year two, 24.2%. 24.2% is where I'm going to end up on profitability, return on capital for that property this year. And that's principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and expenses. So could something big happen? Yeah, sure. Something big could happen. But heating system, good. Roof, good. Siding, good. Windows, good. Decks, good. I don't know what, don't know what it would be. Like, I don't know what would be left. So when you have those things set up the way that you do, it makes profitability not a mistake. Hi, Matt. I'm working on the homework you gave me, not literally stabilizing and optimizing of my duplex while getting my residency ready for sale. Oof. And then your course. All good. Excited to have you. Hope to see you in the boot camp. Thank you, Wealth Building Journey, for posting the HUD stuff, fair market rents. SK, I'm seeing many of my W2 high-tech friends just holding on to stocks passively that have growth big time in the last 10 years. Sure. How do I justify spending lots of times in stabilization, optimization, my RE? Great question. I see that too. And you'll see that thing absolutely collapse. It's going to collapse. They always do. The stocks always do. They might go down 20, 30, 40, 50%. If we go to war, if we this, if we that, people still pay their rent. People still have to show up at their jobs. And again, you do get appreciation in the asset in housing. But what it is it's more inflation adjusted. So for me, when you retire, you still have the income coming off of those properties, right? When you retire and your stock, you have to sell it unless it has some sort of a dividend. You have to sell it in order to get that money available to you. And that's the key is, when you're talking about, when you've owned property for that long, now you're basically getting an annuity payment of 20, 30, 40% your original investment. But here's the best part. Now your original investment doesn't even matter anymore, because if you've had it for 20 years, you've likely paid it off. You can re-lever it with debt, which now you're borrowing debt, but you're putting debt on that asset, but now you're able to live off that money, and it's only a loan. And then you have a cost basis for the $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month in rent that you're now getting, that you can then take that off of that and show much less profit. So you can still live off the profit, but now you've got this big, huge, massive loan that you've got on this thing that you take out. Now you've got $200,000 or $300,000 in cash, $400,000 in cash, $500,000 in cash from one building, one duplex in my area. So that's why I look at it and go, yeah, I think stocks is the lazy person's way. I don't know. I worked in tech for 26 years. I saw a lot of tech companies go boom and disappear. I saw a lot of them get sold off for pennies on the dollar. I've seen a lot with tech. I've done it 26 years and nothing has performed. Literally nothing has performed, like my properties, because it's that annuity that I get every single month. And you don't get that with most stocks that you hold. You're not getting oh, the dividend's $1. And I own 7,000 shares. BFD, it's $7,000. As you get into your real estate journey, it's like I said, you get 4 buildings. I agree with Mike. 4 buildings, you're good. You're where you need to be. That's going to give you a multi-million-dollar retirement. Sell them off, keep them and manage them. Have it keep you busy if you're local. For us, will we downsize eventually? Sure. But here's the best part. I've already started selling some of them and doing seller financing. I'm getting paid 8%. 8%. Everybody gets enamored with the run. Do you realize that there were companies like rooster.com and pets.com and CMGI and all these big name companies that made a lot of people look really smart for 3 years or 4 years, and then they died? So we'll wait and see what happens. What happens, there's the what if factor, right? No one's going to all of a sudden stop needing a house. What if China outlaws the iPhone? What if? What if they're going to spend a lot of that $2 trillion nest egg that they have? That's going to change their world a little bit. They already see it, the writing on the wall, because they're already moving stuff over to India. And it does that. Can they move stuff over fast enough and effectively enough where it actually works, where they don't offend their Chinese partner? Guys, that's a lot of moving parts. For me, yeah, I like real estate. It's easy. It's easier. Nothing's being gamed, nothing's being, game planned. And if they think that they're going to exit out of those stocks before somebody in the know, nope, they're going to get caught holding the bag just like 90% of the other investors. That's the way it goes. Amafid, what's up? Good to see you. Stocks are set to take a monster haircut over coming weeks and months. I agree with that. I think they're going to take a hit. All it takes is for valuations to come down. When the house value goes down, it doesn't cost me a penny in rent. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It doesn't hurt me one bit. When stocks go down, they can go down simply because they say, well, the valuation's kind of high. If valuation didn't matter, then Citi would be the same price as JP Morgan Chase. CITI has always been an underperformer because of weak management and bad business decisions. And JP has always been top of the heap because they got Jamie Dimon. Yeah, know a little bit about this stuff. And so Jamie, because he's Jamie, his valuation of his bank is far greater than Citi's. They're both banks. It's the same thing with real estate investors. Same thing with stocks. Same thing with all of it. No 1031 for equities. Yeah, true story. True story. BuzzTune, really like the disrespectful versus stupid offers video with the 3 amigos. Had to rewatch it. So many gems in there. Thanks, BuzzTune. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a fun video with my guys all the time. Robert Farinelli, which is why I'm buying what I'm buying now. 600 plus current rent with optimization, laundry, and separating hot water. Already has some college upgrades, a dishwasher, 1-year-old sewer line to the street. Only reason for 401k stocks, 100% from employer. Totally agree. I did exactly the same thing. I negotiated and I said, I don't want to contribute anything to it, but I want you to contribute what you contribute to everyone else's. We got that agreed to. And that's why I get the same amount put in my account that everybody else does, even though I don't contribute. Way it goes. Good. So I have that little account sitting there. It's fine. It's there. Maybe I use it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I have it when I'm 65 and I use that for my retirement party. No idea. No idea. Farinelli. Yep. Then I take 401k loans to buy real estate. Absolutely. Moving laundry elsewhere to make new bedroom. I like that. Yep. All-nighter hider. Like Jason Hartman says, thou shalt maintain control. There's no real control in equities. It's true. Yeah, it's true. And that's why, again, for me, it's just not a fit for me. I got killed in the .com bomb. You guys haven't seen a lot of it recently. Actually, you have. FTX. You guys have seen this stuff recently. Completely baked companies. Look at WorldCom. Look at Health South. Look at Enron. Look at these things. You trying to tell me there aren't companies like that right now? Of course there are. Of course there are. We just haven't found them yet. So the challenge is that, yeah, that can be the challenge. I still pay for SK. I still pay for the water of my fourplex tenants bill. Yeah. So you can, and most states, you can give them notice. It's sometimes 30 or 60 days, but you can notify them that you're no longer going to be paying that bill and it will be sub-metered and that you will be sending them a bill for that. The challenge with sub-metering is that you then need to take the bill, you then need to take the reading, and then you need to send it out to them and say, this is your water bill. What you're better off doing is just figuring out exactly what that is, increasing the rents. And you can say, hey, due to the cost of water, due to the increased cost of water, we are going to be making this change and rent will now be effectively this because that is going to cover the water portion. That's what you do. Bill has been going up. Possible to make water meter separate for each unit, make them pay, cost to install. Yes, you can separate it. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is metering. So you actually can find out what it costs to get each line that goes to each unit metered. That's the first thing. You won't get a separate water meter. The town's not going to do it. So you can have that metered on the other side of the town meter. That's expensive. It's expensive. It's going to cost you a few $1,000s for sure. That's why your best bet is to not meter it. Your best bet is to just figure out what the cost is, figure out what it's actually costing you to do that, and then just increase. That's what I would do. We pay water and sewer where we are, but what's really funny is most people don't know this, but we spend probably about $6,000 to $8,000 a month in water and sewer. I was charged and refunded for that super chat, by the way. Not sure what happened. That's okay. That's okay. So again, the challenge is now you're adding administrative burden to your side of things just to meter it and send it on, blah, 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 blah. That's why for me, not a huge fan of that. I'm a much bigger fan of including it in the rent and just saying, due to a significant increase in cost of water and sewer, we, again, if they are outside, if they're outside of, lease, sorry, I was looking for the word. If they're outside of lease. So you can't do it when they're in terms of lease because the terms of the lease usually say that you're paying water, sewer. However, once they go month to month, you can make that increase. So we're doing that now because we were paying for heat and hot water and sewer. So for us in that fourplex, it was worth the investment for us when we had to change one of the heating systems or change out the heating system. At that point, we decided to split it up. Corby Carter, got to bounce for a leadership meeting. You kids have fun. Good luck, sir. Have a safe day. Soul Sister. Oh my, how sweet. Congratulations and welcome to the world, sweet baby Lumberjill. Thank you so much. Lumberjill, that's cute. That's cute. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Good. Nope. Good. Yep. Okay. Enough clicking. This is what zombie companies are all about. Cheap debt. Yep. Keeps them alive because they don't make enough in revenue to cover all their expenses, let alone have any profit left over and supplement their remaining expenses with cheap debt. Yep. These zombie companies are going to blow all the way up and soon. I completely agree. And the funny thing is a number of those are going to be tech companies. There's a lot of companies that are going to go boom, boom. I'm telling you, it's that part of the stock boom. When you get people got high on cheap debt, 1%, 2%. Now they're getting obliterated. It's going to be what happens. The zombie apocalypse is real. Just not what the movies are made of. Nice. SK, given insurance costs have gone up in the past year significantly, are you finding new insurance agents and renegotiating? Any tips on references? So mine aren't national guys. Mine are usually from an insurance perspective, you're licensed in specific states. But as far as renegotiating, yeah, with all the rate craziness that you guys have seen, certainly in like Florida and places like that, For me, I've reached out to mine. I've had them look at the portfolio, basically reach out and say, hey, we're looking. And the key is I don't tell them it's one. I tell them it's 10. I tell them it's 20. I tell them, treat me right on this 10, and maybe you'll get the next 10, and maybe you'll get the next 10. Right. And so that's what I've been doing. So we got everything requoted. Yeah, we didn't just pay the renewal. The renewal wasn't that much higher for us, but we have a different insurance strategy than most. Robert Fairnelly, 401k in short-term bonds and REITs. Anytime the S&P goes under the 200-day moving average, best way to stop bleeding during downturns. Yep. It's not investment advice I would give because I don't touch the stock market anymore. I wonder if the 10-year will hit 10% as Rick Santelli was calling for now, that Japan is going to dump bonds. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It really will be. But again, what does that do? That stops a market fast, right? And then that makes all the debt that you have really expensive if it's adjustable rate debt, or if it's bonds terming, right? So pets.com. Now that was a throwback. I know, right? Yeah. So there's pets.com, rooster.com. It was a bunch of them. Adaptive Technologies was like 180 a share. Same with CMGI was like 200 a share. And then after the .com bomb, they were like a buck 10. I had one that went from 19 to 70 cents, 80 cents, something like that. Yeah. Hyder says zombies don't even generate enough to pay the interest on their debt. Yep. These high rates are going to make things interesting. When he says interesting, he's doing quotation marks right now and winking at the screen. Interesting. It's going to blow stuff up. Wealth building journey. Those .com companies in hindsight were ticking time bombs in the making. Yeah, very much so. I mean, honestly, it was a lot like what we see with, everyone. There were a lot of people, a lot of the experts were quote unquote saying, oh yeah, there's no problem. There's no issues. There's no worries with the real estate market back then in 08, 06, 07, 08. It was it just takes time to work through the system. So I still don't think there's going to be a crash. I still think there's going to be a downturn. I still believe that commercial real estate is screwed. And when it's the same small regional bank that's been lending on those big commercial ones and they're having to do workouts on those deals, guess what? Your debt's going to get more expensive and they're more likely to turn you down. There will be a story on that next week. Matt, you mentioned testing the aptitude of your children before. Do you use specific aptitude testing for your kids to keep them on track, or more of staying involved in their learning process? Second one. So my son, Sam, is 5 and he can read. He can read, count to 100, can do some addition, that sort of stuff. Speaks with 8-year-old, 9-year-old's vocabulary because we use big words around him and we show him how they're used. 4-year-old Bryn, she's the same exact way. She's not reading yet, but she's close. She knows letters and shapes and numbers and all that good stuff. So she hasn't been doing addition yet, but she's close. Eliana will be the fastest because she'll have 2 older siblings doing it. But it's also just coloring, coloring, drawing, seeing their aptitude there, seeing hand-eye coordination. I play hockey with my kids. We'll go outside, we'll do shoot arounds. I cut sticks down to their size so I can kind of see how their, hands are working, feet are working. Do they trip over themselves? So yeah, it's just really just kind of being actively involved. So you see if something's falling behind and then you look it up and find out what you can do for somebody that might be a little bit behind. And we kind of go down that path. So yeah, it's more staying really involved in the learning process. The other thing too is I want to apologize for it. My kids go to private school. Private school is 1,000 times better than the public schools in my area. They get sent to private school. They get sent to a school that understands that there's 7 different styles of learning. And that my 2 kids that are in school right now, they learn differently. And so neither one of them is kept behind. Neither one of them is going to fall behind because the school teaches them one of the 7 ways that they learn. And that's what's really important to me, because if they can have the building blocks and not be frustrated, my son gets excited when he's like, Dad, I got homework tonight. Oh, awesome. We got homework tonight. And it's not true. He sits down, he does it. If he gets stuck, he asks me. So yeah, that part of parenting is a lot of fun for me. And it's work, sure, but my kids are going to have a huge advantage And that's why I spend the money that I do on their private schools, because those teachers are absolutely paid based on results. They are not paid based their contract there, their pay there, their compensation there has nothing to do with how long they work there. Nothing. Has everything to do with how well those students perform. And they have a teacher and an aide in every single class, and they don't run 30 kids. They run 20 something. So I set my kids up for success because I put them in an environment where it's conducive to learning, where they understand how the kids learn and that they all learn differently. Those differences are understood and then encouraged. And I'm horrible at languages. My son is learning Mandarin and Spanish. And he comes home and he says, I was like, what's that word? And he says, this is what it is. And this is what it means. Perfect. So yeah, they'll start out right and they'll have a great education in front of them. And then it's just a matter of applying that education with work ethic, have them be obsessed about something and they'll succeed. All-nighter hider, scare quotes with my fingers like Dr. Evil. Yeah, exactly. I know, dude, I get it. Farinelli, 10-year going higher will certainly cause a lot of pain, which I would hope to make my gain later. Yep. James Wells, 6 unit in the best part of your market for 600 needs about 500K worth of work. Okay. 6 unit in the best part of your market. I assume your market. It needs, give me more clarification. It needs about 500K worth of work. Once fully stabilized, you'll make 10K in gross rents. Debt is 7K per month. Do you do that deal? Yeah. If those are what the numbers are. Yep. Yeah. If those are what the numbers are. Yeah, I do that deal. Yep. Because it's all about that 500K worth of work. So what I would probably, how I would structure that deal, if that deal were in my market, how I would structure that deal is I would do a construction loan. I would do a construction loan deal where I would, so I would borrow on the 1-1. It would be depending on what it appraised for, right? But it would, if you're going to put 500 in, it's going to appraise for at least 1-1, maybe 1-2. So if it appraises for 1-1, as that's what you would need to put the money in, basically what you would need to do is the bank would give you, they would say, well, we need you to have no worse than a 75% LTV on a construction project. So if you're doing that deal for 1.1 million, you're going to need to be basically 270 grand plus closing costs. But I would do that deal. I would put the 270 in, then I would get the funding for the 500 to do the project. Then I would finish it. I would then be at the 1-1, but I'm probably making more than 3 grand a month at that point. But now I don't have any interest rate worries. I don't have any concerns. I'm locked in at 7.5 or 8 for that deal. How many units? 6. No, I'm not locked in. I'm getting 7-year debt on that deal probably. And I'm probably going to be in the 8s. And then over the next 7 years, I just hope that rates go lower. And if not, rents will at least be flat. They don't go down for anything more than a year or two. And when they go down, they haven't gone down more than 4%. So yeah, I would probably do that deal. Cause I think that if you're 250 in or 270 in, call it 300 in, and you're going to make $36,000 on 300 after you're done. Well, there you go. That's 12%. It's a nice number. 12%. That's a nice deal. And in all likelihood that you're making 12% when your rate's at 8, right? So if you're making 12% when your rate's at 8, except I think your cost basis is less than 7 at that number. Yeah, I think your cost basis is less than 7, but I would run the numbers. But based on the numbers that you gave me, yeah, that's a deal that I do. If I can wrap all the construction in, I'm 250 out of pocket and I'm going to make $3,000 a month when it's all done. So I make 36 grand on my 300K deal, 12-point money. That's probably when I'm at year 1. I'm not at that year 2 or year 3 or year 4 or year 5. I'm going to be more every year. And likely rents. I'm not looking at rents appreciating 5 or 10% or anything crazy like that. But you're going to be right around there. Even if the market just goes the normal amount, the 3%, 3 to 5% type of thing. The pocket that you're looking for is that when rates get back below 8, let's say we go into war, let's say we go into some major debt fiasco, let's say, the Fed has to start propping up the market and they got to drop rates. Any of that stuff happens and that debt gets down into the 6s or into the 5s. Now you're printing money with that property, right? And because you put 25% down, because you have that 270K of equity, likely that asset increases in price when the rates go down, because now it gives people that much more buying power. So yeah, on the surface, unless there's something that I'm missing, on the surface, I do that deal. SK, are you looking at multifamily 5 units and plus in coming months for deals? I'm always looking at everything. And right now there are no deals in that space. Everything that I've seen in that space is very expensive, very expensive. In fact, every month, the old record gets broken for how expensive something was that sold. 1.15 million for 3 2s and 2 1s. 1.15 million. Made the property that I own down the street go up 300K. Thank you. Thank you, buyer of that property. And my units are nicer. Factually. I've seen that building. I was in those units. My units are nicer. Yep. All-nighter hider. My daughter has been in French immersion program for about 6 years now. She loves it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep, that's awesome. James Walsh, thank you so much for your insight. You were spot on with our plan of action. Love it, James. Great. That sounds like a great deal. Yeah. 6 units. Like I said, just get longer term debt if you can. Try for even seller financing if you can, and then go to a bank and ask them for essentially for the loan against it as a construction loan. There are a lot of ways to get that deal done, but that deal sounds like a moneymaker. I mean, 12 points. That's great. You just want a little bit duration on that debt. Don't do a 2 or a 3 year. 5, I'd still be a little bit nervous about it. 7, I'm less nervous because I think over a 7-year period, you're going to see fractures. We haven't peaked out yet, but from the trough, right? So if you look at like the late 70s, early 80s, it was like right around 8, 9, and then it went 11, 12, 13, 16, but that was over like a 3 or 4 year period, right? And then it went 16, 13, 12, and then it was 12 for a couple more years, and then 11, and then 10. It was a 16-year turnaround. But if the numbers make sense at the debt that you're buying it at now, then largely you're good. And what it also means too is that a lot fewer people are going to qualify to buy something. So if that's the case, the government is really unsmart. They continue to incent the buy side, and they continue to not create any more supply. We don't have a problem selling what's on the market. We're at an all-time low for inventory. What we have is a problem for affordability for new homes because the construction costs and the price of labor is so expensive. And the other issue that we have is the fact that most of the new stuff being built aren't 3-2s. Most of that stuff, they have to get far more yield out of the land. What that means is they have to build a bigger house because they're still going to have a $15,000 impact fee, a $9,000 sewer connection fee. They're going to have 20 or 30,000 bucks worth of permitting. They're going to have 50,000 bucks worth of roads that are contributed to that house. So it's 100,000 bucks before you move to spoon of dirt. That's why you have to get more yield out of the land. Both Boating Journey, the goal is to make your properties into their own money printers. Yes. Without the money printer going burr. Yes. From old J Powell. Yes, sir. Financial Firefighter. Hey, Mark. Aloha from Hawaii. I'm not suggesting doing that. I'm just sharing what I see. Yep. They do have reserve. Yeah, sure. Makes total sense. Yep. Makes total sense. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I think, I look at a lot of deals, and I've passed on a number of them. There's one deal that I think is a generational deal for me. Quite frankly, it could be the biggest, most impressive deal I've ever done. And I'll know I'll know we'll be closing it, I think, in 60 days, but I'll know within 12 months if it's going to be the greatest deal I've ever done. And I think it is. And it's not the most expensive. Sometimes they're correlated. This is not. Matt, is the course getting a module on building a trust, legal structuring, etc.? It is going to be getting, we are going to, it's being worked on. It's being worked on. I'm working on it with Kate. I wanted to see what she thought about last night. I know she's not watching my live stream now, but I wanted to see what Kate thought about it last night. Her feedback was, it was great. She really enjoyed it. She thought the class was a lot of fun. We had 15 people in the class last night. We maxed out. I think everybody that had a seat was there, except for maybe one. And so, yeah, we're going to, there's 3 sections that we're going to add. One, we're going to add lead. We're going to add lead paint. We're going to add that one. We're working on what we're going to do from a legal side. And then there's, one that we're working on from a lending side to teach you guys really from a banker. Here's what you need to be, here's what you're probably doing wrong. And from an underwriter. We all know underwriters don't get invited to parties, but we're going to have them on. They're going to be in the course. They will do a session. And yeah, we'll make that available for folks. So those are all the things that I'm kind of getting geared up for over the course of the next few weeks. Let's see. Wealth building journey. Matt, the property I was looking at was 2 houses on 1 lot. I like those. That's something that initially perked my ears up when you'd mentioned the land survey and having multiple properties on 1 lot. So here's the thing, that only matters if you're trying to subdivide them. What's actually really cool is I own a few of those where I basically own, so I own 1 lot that has 2 duplexes on it. It sold for a huge discount because of that. People were weirded out by it. I'm like, you guys are dumb. Look at the math. Kid you not, bought that for $325,000 2 years ago. Bought that for $325,000. The rents are now $1,750, $2,100, $2,195, and $1,500. We're just going to round that up to 22,05. 12, 13, 14, 15, 15, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rents are now $7,550 a month. $7,550 a month is what that building's probably pulling down. It's ridiculous. That building is an off the charts winner. In fact, I want to say, so my deposit and then the work that I put into that building was, what did we put down on that? I think we were about 85. We're about 85,000 all in. 85K all in. So let's see what the mortgage is on that thing right now. Oh, I so got bumped out. Son of a biscuit. I guess that's good security. But yeah, let's just see. Come on. All right. Come on, really? I know that's right. Fat fingered it. All right, so that one is. Oh. No joke, real numbers. Looking it up right here. Man, that is ridiculous. Payment on that building is $1,965. It's the number. 1,965. That's the number. So it's making over $5,000 a month. I don't think the property taxes are in there, so it's making $4,000 a month. Yep, $4,000 a month. I buy differently than other people buy. It's one of the things we teach in the course. That was an on-market MLS deal. There wasn't anything special about it. Let me just see one other thing here. Summary. Ah, crap. From the mobile app, they don't show you more detail. So all I can see is my payment. 1965. That's what I'm paying. Why? Now, the reason that that's also helpful is because I got 4% debt on that, or 3.75, 4% debt. But that was a deal 2.5 years ago. Makes $5,000 a month. $4,000 a month. Yeah, 4,000 after taxes. Real deal. I did it. MLS. Two buildings, same lot. For some reason, it was only selling for about 20% more. It needed some work because I think we put like $60,000 down and we put $25,000 into it, but that was enough to pull out carpets, paint. In fact, I posted pictures. I posted pictures of 2 of those units that were in that building. Works out awesome. Let's see. Wealth building journey. The ask was 645, but it was one house and a glorified ADU. Doesn't matter, matters what you can get for rent on it. So, based on the rents, it could command, it would have to be 475 purchase with a conventional loan, all in, or seller financing 40% of the amount at 1%. Yeah. I mean, if you've built a rent box, that will help dictate really what it is, because if those existing rents, maybe they're under market, maybe they're over market, but that's why we do a rent box. One of the cool things, and I really appreciate Harry willing to share this last night. Harry took the rent box that he built. He actually came on the channel with the boot camp and shared his rent box. And we went through, and you know what we found out? That zip code is uninvestable for those assets, for 2 bed, 2 baths. Guys, that's the purpose of this. The purpose of this is not just, I took Matt's course to find a good deal. Nope. That's part of it. The other side of it is, I took Matt's course, I built out a rent box, and I found out that no matter what I do in that market, it's going to be a loser. That's what we do this for. Too many people get into these markets and they have no idea that they just created themselves a bad market, and they're in a bad market. The numbers that they're competing against are against guys like me who might have been there for 10 years, where we're just lapping up all the huge, crazy rent increases, right? But then you look at it and you say, I also got refinanced at 3.75 debt, or 4 1/8. Almost all of my debt is that little money. Almost all of my debt is sub 4. I have, of my, I don't know, 40 some mortgages, I think I have 5 that are over 5, or 6 that are over 5. I don't have a lot. My debt's cheap, but that's one of the things that's helped my crazy returns. But this return right here, that returns, call it $3,000 with the taxes, and I'm $75.50 a month. More importantly, I was $85,000 out of pocket, right? So I'm 85 grand out of pocket. The thing makes $4 grand a month. That's $48,000 a year. That means that my return on my capital there, I'm going to have myself paid back in 2 years. Now we'll do some more capital stuff there. We'll probably do a roof. It's 2 buildings. One of the roofs is pretty good. One of them is probably get another 10 years out of it, but we'll have that on the list. The issue is that that's $48,000 I'm making on the $85,000 money that I put in. Sure, time, effort, energy, blah, blah, blah. I had to, but now I've got 85 into a deal that makes me 48 a year. Guys, this is a no freaking brainer. People were like, oh yeah, I don't really like that property. It's in a C area. Rents are, the units are B quality, but it's in a C area. But people see it. They're like, I don't love the area. I was like, yeah, but would you live there? Because it's a little bit less expensive than even 2 streets over. They're like, yeah, I mean, to save $100-$150, yeah, I live there. Exactly. And that's what I count on. So I'm not even at market rent there. I'm a little bit under market rent, and I have lines of people that want to rent there. This is the value, guys. This is the same stuff that you can do. And it's just being able to properly evaluate a deal, understand the rent box, understand the amount of work that needs to go into it from a construction perspective, to have it be a nice unit that will quickly be a B and a C, or an A and a B. This is the stuff that we want to try and teach you guys in my course. I try and answer your questions here, always make myself available, but those numbers cannot be argued with. They're factual. That's what the number is. And does that blow you away? I wish I had a deal like that. Yeah, me too. That's why I teach my course. is because I teach you how to look for the underpinnings of a deal like that. That was an MLS deal. I didn't buy it the first weekend it came out either. That was an MLS deal. That wasn't an off market. That wasn't a relationship. That was just a deal that we got done on MLS. But we knew as soon as it came up, we knew exactly what we had. We're just like, holy cow, we got to get that deal closed because that is a killer deal. And people want to get hung up. I don't really love the neighborhood. It's nice enough. It's nice enough. And you're trying to tell me you wouldn't want 48 grand in profit? That replaces most people's incomes or half of their income, their net income. One deal, 1-2 duplex deal on the same lot. Guys, this can be done. MLS deal, and you just got to keep on hunting. I always tell my agents the same thing I tell other investors. You don't need 100 deals. You only need one, just one. You need that. And even for me, when I buy now, I don't need 100 more deals. I just need the next one, the next really good one. And I think I found it. I think I found the police station is awesome. That jail that I'm doing, killer project. That thing will absolutely print. That's a big project though. This other project, guys, it's going to probably be the best deal I've ever done. And it's because I look at a lot. I say no to a lot, but I always respect the process. I tell my kids all the time when we're yard sailing on Saturdays, respect the process. So now my son even says, respect the process. And he's like, Dad, that's a yard sale sign. Yep, it is. He goes, we got to go. We got to respect the process. He's not wrong. We got to respect the process. We'll go. We have no idea what they're going to have there. No clue. So we got to go. We go. And if it's something that we're hunting for, awesome. Awesome. All-nighter. Those are amazing numbers. Thanks. I agree. They're awesome. Is it safe to live in? Would you have lived there with your wife when you were house hacking? Yep. Yeah, there's not gunshot wounds. It's just a, lower rent neighborhood. And at the same time too, it's not, okay, gun violence and carjacking and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's all D stuff, right? There's not cops there constantly. But it's a neighborhood. Like it's a bunch of old houses. It's a bunch of landlords that own the houses. They do a decent job, but they know it's a little bit less discounted over 2 or 3 streets. So that, to the left or the right, but it's not going to be that way forever. And would I live there? Yeah, I lived there. I lived in worse. I lived in one place that was worse than there. Yep. And it was because, again, it's all I could afford. It's all I could afford. My other option was being homeless. It's all I could afford. So that's where I lived. It was good enough. Good enough was good enough. And that's the thing is I don't need tenants to be there for 20 years either. Some of them will, I think out of those 4 units, 2 are Section 8, 2 are not. And I think one of them is waiting for her voucher. And guess what? When do you do? I'll be able to more predictably raise rents. That's the way the system works. Wealth building journey, bingo. The goal is to prevent from losing money, e.g. playing defense more than it is about making more money playing offense. A good defense wins championships. How many times do you see the big superstar high flyers, 2000 Rams? How often do you see those guys and they go up against this staunch defense and they get spanked? I don't want to do a bad deal. That's what's kept me in the game. I haven't done a bad deal. I haven't done one that was like, oh my word, this is going to blow me up. The closest I had to that was buying a property that then got a lead order on it. That was the closest that I got to getting blown up twice with that same deal. After I bought it, lead order, and then the amount of time that it took and the contractors and getting jerked around in the process, all that's going to be my lead course. But that was the thing that almost blew me up. And so I learned from that a bad deal is far scarier than a good deal is exciting. I got to make sure that I don't make missteps. That's one of the things that we do when we teach you guys how to work with tenants, how to not end up in court, how to rehab a unit, how to manage the process. That's why we teach what we teach. It's because you got to make sure from a defensive perspective that you're on solid ground. And then that makes building foundationally on top of that much better. That's kind of the key. So as always, guys, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor getting to spend time with you guys on Sundays. I really do appreciate you coming to hang out, talk real estate, listen to me talk for 2 hours. Laura, thank you so much for the super chat. Matt, thanks so much for sharing your knowledge. So much appreciated. You're welcome, Laura. It really is a pleasure. Just come spend time, have community with you guys. I just want to help save you from doing a bad deal. You know, you can find good deals. You can find great deals. The thing you always have to be cautious of is not doing a bad deal. And that's what we can talk a lot about, that stuff, you know, not doing that bad deal. So I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. And I will, we always try and create great content for you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.